You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, not sure where to start today. I will tell you, though, I saw the Mary Simon story. I was a little surprised. I thought we were done with this once she was originally appointed. And, of course, everyone was complaining here in Quebec, at least some people, about the fact that she didn't speak French. But she then went out of her way to say, I'm going to learn French. I'm going to get a tutor. Why is this story back in the news?
Well, simply because there are groups in Quebec, and I would venture to say groups that are champions of the French language, to say the very least, who went to court to say that the Governor General, Mary Simon, is in violation of the Canadian Charter of Linguistic Rights, that as Governor General, she must be able to speak French and English. And I have to tell you guys, as much as this can be sort of like turned into a language zealot nuisance story, I honestly think these people are onto something. The fact of the matter is there was a case in New Brunswick where a unilingual Anglophone was appointed lieutenant governor of that province, and people went to court and they got that person tossed out simply because, it's really swell to talk about, reconciliation and doing right by Canada's First Nations. But the fact of the matter is, unless there was an amendment that I didn't hear about, there are two official languages in Canada, and one of those languages is not enough to took. And Mary Simon is going to do her best to learn. The idea is you have to come fully armed into the job. So frankly, as petty as it may seem, if you're going to embrace the tradition that a guy named Charles III is King of Canada, derives his authority directly from God, and has his official representative here with the flashy red coat and the gold facings on it, you should be able to play by all the rules. And I think that they are onto something. And it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not, Justin Trudeau was able to get away with taking, the highest sort of a political position, state position in the country, and turn it into a sort of reconciliation photo op, or whether indeed someone's going to have the proper qualifications for that job. End of story.
She has proper qualifications.
Except for language,
yes,
apparently.
But she is bilingual. This bothers me.
She's bilingual insofar as her second language is Inuktitut, and I got no problem with that. But here in Canada, which, by the way, because I hear this a lot on the show, we're a bilingual country. No, we're not. Canada is not officially bilingual. Canada has two official languages, and the Governor General of Canada is expected to be fluent in both of them.
And the efforts she has made don't suffice.
Well, she was going to take a language test to prove she can now speak French or not, Jim? Is that where it ultimately ends?
Well, I would imagine so. But I mean, listen, the job requires fluency in French. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. There's not much coloring outside the lines.
Right.
And I would respectfully submit that, if I wanted to be a host on Montreal Now, and I could barely speak English, but, I was going to try real hard to learn, not really sure they'd say, well, come on, Aaron, we'll let you just, feel your way.
Yeah.
This is what's happening here.
Okay. And by the way, this money, this is a court challenge now. Someone's financing this, right?
It's a court challenge. It is not the Quebec government that's doing this. It's two groups, so obviously they're looking for money. But the fact is, it was interesting because the federal lawyers were saying, well, no, this is a matter for federal court. And the judge, the Quebec Superior Justice, said, no, this is an issue that is germane to our jurisdiction here in Quebec, to each of the provinces, and that's that. So this proceeding is going to continue. But as I say, and as the plaintiffs say, we have nothing against Mary Simon. We just don't like the job, which has a very specific description, being turned inside out to fit some political agenda that's going to last for maybe 6 or 7 months. The fact is, we have two official languages. The Governor General, the representative of our head of state, should be fluent in both.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while for this to get settled, I guess, one way or the other.
Well, actually, it's going to be back in the courts this fall, they're saying. But let's move on to this one. Will Quebec nuke its way to prosperity? Jim, do tell.
Well, this is a great story because it kind of fell out of a ceiling tile 2 days ago, right? The Journal got it. In fact, Hydro-Quebec is looking at Gentilly, the infamous nuclear power plant out in Bécancour, and they were thinking of, there's a huge demand for electricity. Whether you like it or not, yes, the waste does have a certain shelf life, but the fact is it's a non-fossil fuel source of energy. And what I found intriguing is that when that nice Steve Guilbeault, the federal environment minister, and a fervent environmentalist before he entered politics, was asked about this and basically said, you know what, it's up to the provinces what they do in terms of getting non-dirty energy. So it's in their purview. But listen, we have tornado warnings up north this afternoon. If anybody who's been to Lahaina saw those pictures realizes something is up. Things are happening. And all of a sudden, and yes, there have been people just screaming like banshees today about the prospect of even thinking about discussing the idea of nuclear power in Quebec being a source of energy for this province. That said, we got to find some alternatives, and it's becoming painfully apparent that something does have to be done. So at least have the option. I'm not crazy about the way that nice Michael Sabia is kind of saying, well, yeah, we're looking into it. I think we should give all the options on the table. If they're saying that out loud, that means that they're looking into it very, very seriously.
But shouldn't we be,
they have
Jim?
To have alternatives.
I mean, we talked nuclear 20 years ago. Whatever we could have done as far as nuclear is different from what it would be now. I'm sure technology is advanced. Don't we owe it to look at it?
Yeah, but the problem is 20 years ago, Sting wrote a song about it, and all of a sudden it was bad. Now, God help us if Sting writes another song about it. But no, you're right. You're 100% right. The technology has advanced. And frankly, I think it should be considered, given the alternative, given the fact that, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's about 125,000 years, but when someone tells me this is the hottest, or we just existed through the hottest July on record, I believe them. There's something going on here, guys. And I don't think it's a passing fad. And we realize now, especially here in Quebec, where our environmental consciousness reaches stratospheric heights of hypocrisy. Right? We don't want dirty oil. We don't want dirty energy. But by God, we're first in line for the next F-150 that comes out, and that is a demonstrable fact. Something's got to be done. And if it happens, recommissioning Gentilly, perhaps building another plant, you never know. It might come down to that.
And that is the irony, isn't it, as you say it that way? We all want that big F-150, but we don't want anything that makes that thing run. We're going to find it's going to be a miracle falling from the sky. So,
well, it's the same thing with when Quebecers, when they talk about social services, we think that social services should be available to everyone and their quality should be improved, but don't raise my taxes.
Exactly. I don't want to pay for it.
So we've talked this week about Pierre Poilievre's new ad campaign. Yes, unfortunately we have. We've played clips of both his wife and him. And I guess you're saying the fact that we're talking about it means they're working.
Oh, not just us, but even now it's because now it's entered the sort of the scrum ammo dump. So when we're talking to, say, Pablo Rodriguez, the Quebec lieutenant for the Liberals, and we're talking to Jagmeet Singh about this ad campaign. They're saying, no, be careful, it's not. Don't be fooled by the wrapping. It's what's on the inside that matters. But the fact is, they're surging ahead in the polls. The fact is, they know their big weakness is Pierre Poilievre himself. God knows, maybe he's undergoing the training to actually pretend to be the guy who he appears to be in those ads. But the bottom line here is, and I'll say this flat out, I'm no fan of Pierre Poilievre, but as long as Justin Trudeau is in charge of the show, those numbers are going to continue to go down, and people are going to start looking at Poilievre not because he's not wearing a shirt and tie, not because he is, wearing contacts instead of his glasses. They're going to start looking at him because Justin Trudeau has just annoyed them past the point of no return.
Yeah, you're right. You're basically saying they're going to look at him because he's not Justin Trudeau.
And that's a very dangerous place to be politically.
Yeah. I wonder, though, it's interesting, Jim, in the midst of all this, and we had Nick Nanos on yesterday, we kind of brought this up when we first saw the ad saying, well, isn't this coincidental as far as timing goes, right? All of a sudden, the Trudeaus get a separation, and 2 days later, there's an ad with, Pierre Poilievre's wife extolling his virtues. But the thing that I wonder today, in all this about the continuing strength of the Conservatives, the one thing, and I don't think we brought it up, or maybe Nick Nanos mentioned it, yes, the Conservatives are gaining strength, but Pierre Poilievre, as you just said, Jim, he himself is still not as popular as Justin Trudeau.
Not personally, no, but I guarantee you, if with this ad campaign, someone turns around and says, from now on, I will be overseeing your Twitter account, I think he's going to have a real shot. Those are his weaknesses. I've always
you're
said,
right.
The biggest, the biggest friend Justin Trudeau has politically is Pierre Poilievre. If they take that threat away, or at least the appearance of that threat, you're going to have, if I was a Liberal, and I'm sorry, I'm sure it's happening in the caucus right now. I think in the federal Liberal caucus right now, a lot of people are asking a lot of questions and wondering what the hell is going to happen, not next year or in 2025. They're wondering what's going to happen this fall.
James Mennie, over at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Adam.